Hello everyone, this is Critic giving you a shoutcast and Game 5 in this best of 7 series between EG and Team Liquid, all part of the Machinima Realm Invitational. Here we have EG Axslav spawning as the blue Protoss player. Meanwhile, over here we have EG StrifeCro spawning as the yellow the yellow Zerg, so it is going to be yellow and blue, so that's why it's green over here. Meanwhile, as we have Liquid TLO spawning as the purple Protoss, and now TLO did choose random, so he randomed into Protoss, and TLO normally doesn't play a lot of Protoss, so this might come back to hurt him. I remember TLO saying very early on that he feels most comfortable with Terran and Zerg, so we'll see now that he's playing random what is actually going to be happening here on this map. We do see a probe now making its way out, coming in from EG Axslav, and that color is going to confuse me because blue is actually EG Axslav and Axslav is or EG, not Team Liquid, so that will confuse me just a little bit. We now see Jinro over here, so I'll try to keep track of my colors, east versus west instead of yellow and blue and green. Yeah, that's just horrible color combinations. Now we do see TLO now moving out with this one probe, making sure that there isn't any cheese. So no cheese, doesn't see any proxy pylons over here, really wanting to make sure he's not playing against In Control, he's playing against Axslav and StrifeCro, so that is going to change it up just a little bit as the probe now coming in from TLO, trying to harass as well. So very, very nice. TLO's probe also has shields as well. It is able to come in, deal damage, and then protect this one SCV, as the SCV normally takes damage from that one probe. The probe was trying to squeeze through, able to finally get by there, and now we'll come into this location. So Jinro should be upgrading to an orbital command in just a moment. The only thing that sucks about a 2v2 is this production tab is just so much larger that it actually can cover up to 25% of my screen, a quarter of my screen. So now back to over here, we now see Axslav continuing to get a cybernetics core. He does have the standard assimilator, and we also see a hatchery coming in from StrifeCro, so pretty standard play so far. Cybernetics core coming in here as well, so both TLO and Axslav doing the same or similar build so far. And now we also have an Overlord parking itself in order to gain some sight, just in case there are any Void Rays or any air units that try to come out from this direction. One Marine now just sitting itself on that low ground, so Jinro, a very, very popular Terran player, very, very strong Terran player. If you guys are not keeping track of the current GSL, I believe Jinro has made it to the round of 4, the semifinals, and now going after Axslav's one probe and able to take it down. So very, very nice Marine micro there, and now going into a factory. And now we also see TLO warping in a pylon in his partner's base. That is a very, very important thing to do. If you're a Protoss player in a 2v2, you want to be able to deploy units wherever they need to be, and if they need to be in your partner's base, then they should be there. We now see a sentry currently being warped in as well, a zealot going to try to hold position, but that is not going to be narrow enough. That sentry needs to get out in time, otherwise the Zerglings may be able to simply run by, but I believe the sentry will pop out in just a second. And there we go, sentry with zealot now trying to fight back against those Zerglings, doing a very, very good job there. And now that sentry perhaps going to try to hide here, and now the zealot should probably stand right in between, making sure that no Zerglings are able to run through. StrifeCro now getting up that second base over here on the low ground and should be able to defend it fairly easily. One of the reasons why I chose this map is compared to Arid Waste, is that your ramps actually naturally lead towards each other, so you are able to defend this wider choke point here as both players are able to come down this ramp. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe there should be enough room to prevent that creep from spreading over into this location here and then preventing a nexus. Otherwise, preventing a nexus. Otherwise, that would be kind of sucky in a 2v2 matchup. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it stops right there. Hopefully, no creep tumors will be laid down in this direction. Otherwise, it will prevent Axslav from getting any expansions over here. So now out moves an observer, and both sides just playing a very, very long game. No very early aggression. So we are going to see a longer 2v2 matchup, as no one really has a large army at this stage. 550 for the Terran player. Jinro sitting over here he is reactoring with a lot of Marines and siege tanks, a very, very common Korean style of play, not very much found in the North American servers, where you use unupgraded Marines and siege tanks. So tank Marine, very, very popular. It is very strong against Protoss, very, very strong against Zerg, as well as those siege tanks are able to get one shot off and destroy Banelings, a significant number of Banelings, and then the Marines are able to clean up many of those Zerglings. So we'll see what exactly Jinro will be doing as he moves out, and it will be spotted by this one observer. So Axslav now coming in with the observer, sees exactly what he needs to see. He knows what Jinro is doing. 3 siege tanks, and now those 3 siege tanks will be able to stair step their way and move out. We also see TLO going into Colossi, so he's going Zealot Colossi with a couple sentries in order, early sentries, in order to be able to throw down those force fields and perhaps try to funnel and protect against any melee units like those Zealots and those Zerglings. I also consider Banelings semi-melee, as those Banelings need to get very, very close to their target in order to deal damage. We now see that those Marines and SCVs are moving out, and that is a large number of SCVs, 8, 9 SCVs now on the move. And it's going to be interesting if those SCVs are on auto repair, like I believe they are. They may be able to start repairing those Colossi as well. So those Colossi are going to be very difficult to take down once it takes some structural damage. You can tell that they are mechanical units there, and now we have the observer of EG Axslav. Siege tanks are starting to siege up, and now roaches are going to have a little bit of a problem there as those siege tanks trying to get in position. We do see bunkers now being placed down as these units are. Now in comes that force field, so a force field blocking that ramp. Siege tank will be able to get some damage onto those Zerglings over there, as some damage is going to be dealt. We do also see a spine crawler currently trying to be warped in as those siege tanks are now trying to move out. Oh, many of those SCVs taking a lot of damage there, so that was a little bit of a misplay as force fields are now finally coming in, and now roaches with Colossi of Axslav doing a great job cleaning this up, and I believe EG is going to be able to push against this very, very easily, deal a lot of damage. Roaches now trying to chase after that Colossus. The Colossus is now getting up onto that high ground, trying to maximize its damage, and now getting as much damage over here. Needs to be very, very careful about this. There is some Zerglings now trying to come in and deal some damage towards this one Colossus here as well, trying to dance between these two. TLO now does have a decent number of units on this high ground, and now this one low hit point Colossus is going to be forced to pull back. TLO does have the extended thermal lance range on those Colossi, so that is going to give him a significant advantage, but things are now still looking very, very up for EG. EG does have its second base up, or one of the second bases up, and now going into an additional 2 extractors. No additional bases placed down here just quite yet. We do see one Zergling now will be able to spot the Nexus being warped in over here. So now they know that TLO is trying to establish his second base. We should probably be seeing a second base coming in from Jinro in just a moment. I like the placement on these siege tanks, making it very difficult for any melee units to get within range. And then Marines on this high ground should be able to start dealing damage and shoot to that low ground as well. We now see army-wise, both sides are pretty even. And in terms of the army, there's a slight advantage for Team EG, as those Zealots are once again going to try to test the waters. And this may be dangerous here, as the sheer army and power of EG Axslav and EG StrifeCro are now on the move, and this is only TLO's forces. So TLO needs to be very, very careful. Perhaps try to engage against those roaches. Roaches do not have movement speed just quite yet, trying to get more damage. Zealots now coming in to engage, getting a lot of damage there across very, very tightly packed roaches. And many of those roaches are now grouped so closely together that they're taking a lot of damage. But in come additional Colossi here. So Colossi now coming in, going after one low hit point Colossus. That one low hit point Colossus down to 10 hit points. Down it goes. The Colossus needs to walk up that ramp and now perhaps start dealing damage towards that low ground, and now get some damage across Axslav's non-upgraded Colossus. So now Zealots and Stalkers are being able to retreat back once again. And wow, both sides just trying to constantly attack, and now we see a third base being established by StrifeCro. So EG now taking up a third base, while Axslav is now taking up his second base. Back over here, we now see TLO has finished warping in his Nexus, currently chrono boosting it in order to get a stronger economy, and TLO and Jinro are still in trouble at this stage in the game. We do see more siege tanks will be trained up. We also see Vikings now joining that air army in order to try to deal damage against those Colossi. That is going to become the critical unit in this battle, I believe. Those Colossi on both sides are such key units such expensive units, and you know, with that extended thermal lance range, able to do the majority of that damage on that first pack, first hit. We now see also roaches trying to take down these destructible rocks here, so EG continuing to just expand across the map, and at a very, very fast pace indeed. Only what, 14 minutes into this game so far. And now we can see that another Nexus will be, or a Pylon will be warped in here, and then perhaps followed by a Nexus. We also are seeing Corruptors coming into play as well. A current probe on patrol in between that location. It probably doesn't want to get that idle probe tab there. And now we see also Pylons warped in here in order to be able to deploy. We now see Roaches coming down over here. Not quite sure what those Roaches want to do, as we also see another probe wandering back and forth. So it is going to be 4 bases compared to 6 spaces eventually, as these rocks have been already cleared. Axslav should be able to set up this Nexus very, very easily, transfer some of the probes from his main base over in just a moment, as the Stalkers are now trying to chase down these Vikings now being shooed away, unable to snipe any of those Colossus there. Army-wise, 3375 for Axslav, StrifeCro sitting at 3375, Axslav sitting at 2875, Jinro sitting at 3200, and now TLO sitting at 2200. So Team Liquid is still behind a little bit, not by much, and it will really come down to micro. But as this game continues, the longer it goes, the better I believe it is going to be for Team EG. You can see a slight economic advantage for EG. TLO also able to mine out pretty effectively as well. But as these mineral patches are going to get depleted, TLO needs to establish another base. And now in comes, no, not another fight, just a very, very large merging of colors on my map here. A lot of Colossi, 7 Colossi dealing a lot of damage. No, the level 1 weapons upgrade has been completed. SCVs are getting underneath those Colossi to start repairing them. And we are also getting some weapons upgrade. No weapons upgrade on the Terran army just quite yet. Both sides just sitting in their bases, trying to macro up a very large army. You can see just how large these armies are going to be, and we are probably going to be seeing 15,000 to 20,000 mineral armies battling it out in just a moment. Back over here, Jinro does see that there is an expansion over here at this location, and that has to make Team Liquid worried. Team Liquid needs to figure out what they're going to do with this smaller army, and at some point a tech lab needs to get thrown down by that barracks in order to get that combat shield and perhaps even that stim pack, just because that combat shield at that point would give so many Marines additional hit points, effectively increasing the survivability and the damage that those Marines are able to do. Siege tanks still not sieging up for some strange reason just quite yet. And there is really no way to break into this base. Drops will not work. Nidus worms may work if you try to do it right in this location. There's a small patch of dark right there, but I believe... Actually, no, you're actually able to see that there. So yeah, that's pretty much no room for Nidus worms no room for Nidus worms at all either. Army-wise, 184 versus 152. Production, we are now seeing the Greater Spire come online. Stalker Blink, Dark Shrine. A lot of units being trained up on both sides. The only thing I don't see is a Fusion Core or a Stargate and Fleet Beacon coming in from the Protoss and Terran player. Also, no Ultralisk Cavern coming in from the Zerg player. So we're not going to see every unit in this matchup. Also, no Ghost Academy. Okay, so apparently we are missing a lot of units. I was trying to go through the list and yeah, realize that there are a lot of units missing. So Jinro now just continuing to macro up a large army. Templar Archives now coming into play. So Templar Archives will allow for Psystorm, obviously, and maybe that Amulet Research deploying those units out very, very quickly. We also see TLO moving out with Stalkers and an Observer in order to deal damage toward and trying to reduce the amount of creep that has been spread across this map. Back over here, Overlord is in the air, just spawning creep onto that ground there. And now one Roach activating this Onaga Watchtower. We do see the Roaches have Burrow, but nothing else beyond that. No tunneling claws, no additional regeneration at all. And now more creep tumors still being spread out across the map. So very, very well done so far. Army-wise, 6750, 5575. A very, very large army on both sides. Queen's now Queen activating the Zelnaga Watchtower, realizing that it can drop creep tumors here and also give a lot of sight. That Queen really shouldn't be this far away from a hatchery, but it needs if you want a lot of creep tumors, this is the way to do it. A very, very large army now, corruptors in the air, broodlords in the air, roaches and stalkers on the ground, probes now trying to run in and quickly getting eaten up by this large army there. So a lot of probes being sacrificed in order to free up some food count, and now you see the damage coming in from both sides. I'm gonna turn off the production tab. Vikings now coming in to engage as well, and now a lot of damage being dealt across multiple sides, and I cannot see really what's going on. Just let you watch. Yeah, both sides still just battling it out army-wise. You can see that TLO is still keeping his army alive, and this is really helping him out. But there are a lot of still a lot of corruptors in the air, and the corruptors should be trying to corrupt and trying to take down those colossi. Many of those colossi are still alive, and that is going to be a problem as those siege tanks are continuing to battle out. TLO now trying to deal more damage across all the rest of the broodlings that are on the ground. There are a couple stalkers now trying to finish off, and now TLO also losing some of his colossi there. So a nice exchange of armies, and now a production tab quickly showing what's happening here. The Dark Templars from EG Axslav simply running straight into the mineral line, wants to deal damage. We now see more Broodlord cocoons all along the way. No level 1 weapons upgrade on those air units, and 106 Zerglings being queued up. That is a lot of Zerglings and a lot of damage that can be dealt. I need to see, yeah, I believe the claw upgrade. No, that is not the claw upgrade. Now we now see some stalkers now trying to engage as well. Zealots are going to be able to start charging in, dealing a lot of damage. Those Broodlord cocoons need a hatch in just a second. There they are. Vikings are now coming out, both sides dealing damage back and forth. SCVs now trying to constantly repair as those Dark Templars are able to slash away, and those Broodlords are now simply just eating through that Terran siege tank army. I believe the Stalkers are going to have problems, and there we go. There's the GG. Alright, so a very, very nice, very, very strong, effective push coming in from EG Axslav and EG StrifeCro. It looked as though TLO was going to be able to save many of his colossi, but those corruptors with that corruption ability and getting additional damage onto those colossi and making him lose many of those colossi. As soon as those colossi got taken down, EG Axslav was able to just queue up 106 Zerglings. With those Zerglings, he was able to deal a large amount of damage, as they are upgraded 2-1. They don't have the crackling upgrade, but they are fighting on creep, so they were instantly able to surround and deal a lot of damage, especially as those colossi were taken down by the TLO's colossi were removed from the equation. I believe if those colossi were still there, the sheer amount of splash damage that those colossi would be able to do would have eaten up many of those Zerglings before they even got within a melee range. Really, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 or 2v2 matchup between EG and Team Liquid here on Monolith Ridge. Yeah, great games so far. If you are just tuning into the Machinima Realm Invitational, there are about, I'd say, around 50 to 60 games already cast and already played. Go ahead and just check out my homepage, or check out the Machinima Realm Invitational announcement page. There is an annotation link with a spreadsheet to every game available. So you can follow them, watch them in order. That is probably the easiest way to do so. Also, I know Team Liquid has a Liquipedia link. You can also keep track of it from there. Once again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.